Gaffer, you were disappointed with the result on Tuesday night, but you've had some days to reflect on it, a couple of days to train, and you'll be looking for Saturday for a chance to bounce back.
Well, I look back at the game even as early as Wednesday morning when I got up, and there was a lot more positives than the negatives. I think the negatives ultimately was we didn't get the result we wanted, but more so is the couple of lads we lost, you know, with, Jaden going early doors and then Eastie quite quickly after him, and then to lose Freddie just compounded everything, because we knew as the game went on, set play and height and strength was going to be a thing, and we were getting smaller while they were getting bigger. So that was ultimately our downfall. But I've got to take out the huge positives. I mean, for me it was the best we'd played since I've been to the club in terms of the first half. Thought we dominated the game, we dominated the ball, we dominated the territory. And in fairness, you could argue that Dagenham and Redbridge allowed us some of that, but ultimately they didn't get to half-time with a clean sheet. So we had our noses in front, but again, I think, like I said, losing Freddie was a big catalyst in what happened in the second half. Not particularly our performance, but the way that we were set up in the box, because we had to change people's jobs and stuff. But look, we move on from that as quickly as we did the win at Enfield. If it had been the other way around, it would have just been that more Borough fans would have seen the win. Unfortunately for them, they didn't, but we'll be looking to put that right at the weekend.
I wanted to ask specifically about Freddie's injury. He got a bit of a nasty blow to head, didn't he? Is he feeling all right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Freddie's a Trojan. He wants to play. I'm sure he didn't want to come off, but actually I was the last person to see him before he left the dressing room, and he just looked unsteady on his feet, and he was adamant he wanted to go out. And I said to him, look, the moment the game starts, if you don't feel right, because he'd been landed on. It wasn't anything untoward from Dagenham. It was somebody landed on him in the box and his head hit the ground, and then someone's hip landed on top of his head. So he's taken a whack on the head. But knowing him, he'll want to be back quicker than he should be. But there's a protocol we have to follow these days. But let's hope it's one of the shorter ones rather than the longer one.
Well, we know Weston are a good team. It will be a good match tomorrow, I'm sure. But also on top of that, the occasion, the Remembrance Day game. We're wearing the Remembrance Day special kit. It will be a big day regardless of the match, I think.
Yeah, I think this weekend right across football is special for the tributes all over the country. I came from a club that is a military town, and I've got to say there's one thing that used to bring a tear to my eye looking at it at the wreck. But I understand, and I've seen the efforts made down here, and I'm looking forward to seeing the people doing their marches and their parades. And of course, the last post always puts a lump in my throat. We should never forget what those people gave for us to be able to do what we do, which is in effect kicking a ball for a living. So yeah, I'm very, very mindful of that. But once that's all done and dusted, it's down to business. Weston-super-Mare has proven they beat a National League team last weekend to progress into the second round of the FA Cup, and they've got a really good chance of getting to the third round. So, they're no mugs. They're right at the top of this division. And I know the people who are in charge of them there. One of them I've worked with fairly closely at a few clubs. So it's one of them games where they're expected to win and we're not, but we've got to try and turn that expectation around, particularly at home. It's our backyard, and I don't like people coming in here and doing the proverbial in my back garden. So from that point of view, it's time to roll our sleeves up and pick 3 points up.
Well, Weston travelling a long way, obviously that inevitably means that their travelling support will be smaller. But on top of that, it's a big occasion. Lots of more people from Eastbourne will be coming down. I'd imagine it'll be a real bumper crowd tomorrow. Is that something that's going to make a real difference to the result?
Well, I always think, the partisan element of having a home game is why there are more teams win at home than away from home. Now, that hasn't been the case for us this season so far, but we want to turn that around. We can't go back to the start and rewrite that, but we can, alter the finish, if you like, and that's the aim. We've got to try and improve as we're going, and I do think there is improvement. Like I said, if I didn't feel that things were getting better in areas that we're working at, then I would be frustrated. But I do see it. I see it on the training ground, and I've seen it progressively in matches. Don't get me wrong, at Maidenhead and at Enfield, I thought the lads defended remarkably well, whereas against Chesham and Dagenham, for 2 periods in the game each, we didn't defend well enough, and that's a little piece of a large portion of football. So, look, I mean, I've got to always err on the side of positivity, because I've got to get the lads back up on their feet and back up ready to go again for the next game, and they're coming thick and fast. So, Saturday to Tuesday, there's no good dwelling on a defeat, the same as I don't lord over a victory. But hopefully we'll be doing more victoring than we will be losing.